Right now, the most chaotic division in the NHL isn't the East, it's the Pacific. Anaheim Ducks are currently sitting in first place, which nobody expected at the start of the season. But right behind them are the Vegas Golden Knights, the Edmonton Oilers, the Seattle Kraken, and the San Jose Sharks, all separated by just a few points with about 20 games left in the season. And here's the crazy part, though. The Ducks might actually have the easiest path to win the division. They only have 5 games left against playoff teams. And while Vegas and Edmonton still have brutal schedules filled with contenders like Colorado and Dallas, the question now becomes, can Anaheim hold on and win the Pacific, or do the Oilers and Golden Knights eventually take control when the pressure ramps up? Because in this division, someone's season is about to collapse and someone else might be about to shock the NHL. The stretch run is here. We're officially entering the final stretch of the NHL season with roughly 20 games left for most teams, and the playoff picture is getting wild, especially out west, as the Anaheim Ducks, Frank, currently sit first in the Pacific Division.
Yeah, old Ben Afquack over there has been having a time as the Ducks currently sitting first place in that Pacific Division, which might be the most surprising storyline in the NHL, as you said. Behind them is just absolute chaos in their wake. The Vegas Golden Knights, Edmonton Oilers, Seattle Kraken, and San Jose Sharks are all jammed within a handful of points, battling for playoff positioning. And Sunday night gave us a massive one. The Oilers and the Golden Knights, a true 4-point swing game in the standings in the Pacific.
The Pacific Division might decide the West. Fascinating part of this race is the schedule. Anaheim actually has the easiest road remaining, and they have 19 games left and only 5 against current playoff teams. Meanwhile, Vegas and Edmonton still have to grind through schedules filled with contenders like Colorado, Dallas, and Tampa Bay. So while the Ducks leading the division might feel like a surprise, the numbers say they might actually have the inside track. And if Anaheim holds on, that's one of the biggest turnaround stories in the NHL this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked on the show last week with Ryan Poling signing his contract. If the Trevor Zegras trade, is starting to pay off for Anaheim right now, and it's looking like it is. Bless you, they are way ahead of schedule compared to what we were expecting.
Trade deadline fallout, the winners and the losers. The NHL trade deadline did have a strange rhythm this year. Lots of deals leading up to it, quiet on deadline day itself, and then chaos right before the buzzer. Some teams walked away much better. Some teams might not have gotten the value that they were hoping for going into the deadline.
Yeah, the Colorado Avalanche might have had the best deadline. They already had Nathan MacKinnon playing at an MVP level, and now they add center depth. Might be the best in the league now as they add Nazem Kadri and Nicholas Waugh. That lineup suddenly looks terrifying come playoff time. Meanwhile, the Ducks made one of the more stunning moves, acquiring longtime Capitals defenseman John Carlson, giving up their young roster a veteran Stanley Cup presence for this playoff push. Also, the New York Islanders trading away Jonathan Drouin, who they signed at the beginning of this season, to pick up the captain for the St. Louis Blues, Braden Shen. So that was another big move that was made over the course of the trade deadline.
But not every team nailed the trade deadline in the NHL. The Edmonton Oilers might have wasted a golden opportunity. They still have Connor McDavid, arguably the best player on the planet in his prime, and yet the biggest issue on the roster, goaltending, wasn't really solved. That's a risky gamble when your championship window is tied to McDavid's contract timeline.
And that was after a trade at the beginning of the season where both Pittsburgh and Edmonton swapped their goaltenders. So they tried to address it earlier this year with Tristan Jarry. Has not worked out, and I see why they stood still. You don't want to admit failure on 2 different goaltenders this year and make trades twice. But also, it's kind of an important thing, especially when you've lost in the Stanley Cup final the last 2 years.
Over in the East, the Tampa Bay Lightning and Buffalo Sabres are battling for control of the Atlantic Division, while teams like Detroit and Boston are fighting for wild card spots. And keep an eye on the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are holding a playoff spot despite dealing with injuries, including missing star Evgeny Malkin.
Yeah, Evgeny Malkin actually got suspended for a slash, a high slash. So he's not out with injury. He is out based on rule of the NHL. So the East may not be as chaotic. The Metropolitan and the Atlantic may not be as chaotic as the Pacific, but the wild card races are still wide open in both the Eastern and Western conferences.